Chapter 1. The Darkness That Devoured Stars. In the year 2849, the galaxy had become a place of astonishing unity. Hundreds of alien civilizations shared technology, traded resources, and defended one another through the Galactic Council. They had conquered disease, mastered faster-than-light travel, and built cities that floated above oceans and inside the rings of gas giants. Yet there was one mystery no civilization had ever solved. Beyond the edge of explored space lay a region known only as the Void. It wasn't empty. It was alive, or so the legends claimed. For thousands of years, ships that crossed its invisible border never returned. Entire exploration fleets vanished without a distress signal. Even autonomous probes stopped transmitting the moment they entered its darkness. The Council eventually declared the region permanently forbidden. No one questioned the decision, until the stars themselves began disappearing. It started with a lonely mining colony. One morning, astronomers noticed their sun had simply vanished. There was no explosion, no collapse, no warning. Within weeks, neighboring systems suffered the same fate. Then another, and another. The darkness was spreading. Every telescope pointed toward the same horrifying truth. The void was growing. Panic swept across the galaxy. Trade routes collapsed. Refugee fleets filled the space lanes. Entire civilizations abandoned worlds that had stood for millions of years. Scientists searched desperately for an explanation. None came. Military commanders assembled the largest armada in galactic history. Thousands of warships entered the darkness. Not one returned. The council chambers, once filled with confidence, became silent. Ancient alien empires admitted what they had never confessed before. We do not know how to stop it. Hope faded, until one unexpected voice broke the silence. A human, Commander Ethan Cross, stood before representatives of every known civilization. He looked around the chamber before speaking. "If your greatest fleets failed," he said calmly, "then maybe you're asking the wrong question." The delegates stared in disbelief. An elder alien narrowed his glowing eyes. "And what question should we ask, human?" Ethan smiled. "Not how to destroy the void, but why it wants us afraid." The chamber erupted with arguments. Some laughed. Some called him reckless. Others demanded his removal. But one thing none of them noticed. For the first time in months, the lights inside the council chamber flickered, as if something, somewhere in the darkness, had heard the human's words.
I'll continue the story in a reusable writing block. Writing. Chapter 2. The mission no one dared accept. The silence inside the Galactic Council lasted only a heartbeat before chaos erupted. He is insane. A single human cannot succeed where entire armadas have failed. This is suicide. Voices echoed through the massive chamber as representatives from hundreds of worlds argued over Commander Ethan Cross's proposal. Ethan stood motionless. He had expected fear. What he hadn't expected was a voice from the highest balcony. Let him speak. The chamber fell silent. It was Supreme Chancellor Vila, the oldest living member of the council. His species had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations for nearly 50,000 years. If humanity believes there is another path, Vila said, we will hear it. Ethan stepped toward the center hologram, where the ever-expanding void glowed like a wound across the galaxy. You've all tried to destroy it, Ethan began. You've sent battleships, drones, weapons capable of cracking planets. He looked around the room, and every mission entered expecting war. The hologram shifted, showing dozens of fleets disappearing without a trace. What if the void isn't attacking because it hates us? What if it reacts to fear? The room grew uneasy. Several scientists exchanged confused glances. Ethan continued. Humanity has explored dangerous places before. Deep oceans, frozen continents, empty space. We survived because curiosity was stronger than fear. An alien general slammed his fist onto the table. Curiosity will not stop a cosmic monster. No, Ethan replied calmly, but understanding might. For several minutes the council debated. Finally, Chancellor Vila made his decision. Chapter 3. The Voice Beyond the Darkness. The cockpit lights flickered back to life. Commander Ethan Cross gripped the controls, but the stars outside were gone. Instead, the ship floated in an endless sea of shimmering darkness. where rivers of silver light flowed like living galaxies. The ancient voice spoke again. You are not afraid. Ethan looked around. I am afraid, he answered honestly. I just didn't let fear choose for me. For the first time, the darkness shifted. A towering figure formed from starlight and shadow. It had no fixed shape. Every second it changed. An old alien. A child. A cloud of light. Then an entire constellation. I am called many things, it said. Your people named me. The Void. Ethan swallowed. You've destroyed entire star systems. The being remained silent. Then the darkness around them transformed into a living memory. Ethan watched ancient civilizations launch weapons into the void. Fleets fired first. Worlds declared war before asking questions. Every attack strengthened the darkness. They feared what they did not understand, the being said. So you fought back. I defended myself. Images continued flashing before Ethan's eyes. Thousands of years of conflict. Every empire had made the same mistake. No one had ever entered seeking peace. No one. Until humanity. The being moved closer. Human. Why did you come? Ethan looked at the image of dying stars. Because if you're truly our enemy, I needed to know why. And if I'm not, then the galaxy has been fighting the wrong battle. The being remained motionless. Across 10,000 years, no visitor had ever asked that question. Suddenly, alarm screamed across the bridge. Outside the strange realm, dozens of warships had arrived at the edge of the void. The Galactic Council had lost faith. Believing Ethan already dead, they had launched their ultimate weapon, a stellar annihilation cannon, powerful enough to erase an entire sector of space. The ancient being turned toward the approaching energy. They choose war, again. A beam brighter than 1,000 suns tore toward the void. Ethan's heart raced. If that weapon hits, billions will die. The being looked at him. Then show me why humanity deserves another chance. Without hesitation, Ethan shut down every weapon aboard his ship. He transmitted a single message to the attacking fleet. Do not fire. This isn't our enemy. Static answered. The beam continued racing closer. For the first time in thousands of years, the fate of the entire galaxy rested not on a fleet, not on a superweapon, but on whether one human's voice could be heard before it was too late. Chapter 4. Humanity's Greatest Gamble. The annihilation beam streaked through space, tearing apart asteroids and bending the fabric of reality in its wake. Commander Ethan Cross had seconds. His transmission echoed across every military channel. Abort your attack. The void is not invading us. It has been defending itself. No response. The fleet's admirals believed Ethan had been manipulated or driven insane. A second message arrived from the flagship. Commander Cross, stand clear. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Ethan closed his eyes. They still don't understand. The ancient being watched him carefully. Your people will destroy themselves. Only if I let them. Ethan disconnected the ship's safety systems and redirected every unit of power into the quantum engines. Warning lights flashed red. Critical reactor overload. The computer spoke in a calm voice. Survival probability, 0.2%. Ethan smiled. That's higher than when I started. With a powerful surge, Hope's horizon accelerated directly toward the incoming beam. The ancient being reached out. Human, why would you give your life for those who do not believe you? Ethan answered without hesitation. Because they're still my people. The void fell silent. No civilization in 10,000 years had ever chosen self-sacrifice over revenge. As the beam closed in, Ethan activated an experimental quantum resonance device, technology, considered too unstable to ever be used. The ship glowed with brilliant blue light. Instead of colliding with the weapon, the light wrapped around it. The devastating beam slowed, then split into millions of harmless streams of energy that flowed around the void like rivers around a mountain. Across the galaxy, every sensor went dark for a heartbeat. Then came something no one expected. The void began to shine. The endless darkness peeled away, revealing countless stars hidden inside it all along. Entire solar systems appeared, alive, untouched, and thriving. Ships that had vanished centuries earlier drifted peacefully among them. The void had never destroyed them. It had protected them from endless wars outside. A stunned silence spread through the galactic fleet. On the flagship, the lead admiral whispered, "We were wrong." Inside the realm of light, the ancient guardian turned toward Ethan. "You have ended a war that began before your species discovered fire." Ethan looked at the newly revealed stars. "So, what happens now?" The guardian smiled for the very first time. "Now, human. The galaxy learns the truth." Chapter 5. The secret hidden for 10,000 years. The newly revealed stars illuminated the darkness like diamonds scattered. Across an endless ocean, entire civilizations, long believed to be lost, emerged from behind the veil of the void. Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. Thousands of ships, some ancient, some impossibly advanced, floated peacefully in silent formation. Their crews stared back at him with expressions of wonder. The Guardian raised a hand, and the stars around them shifted into a giant holographic map of the galaxy. "This," it said, "is the truth that history forgot." Millions of years ago, before the Galactic Council existed, a civilization known as the First Architects united hundreds of worlds. Their knowledge surpassed anything the modern galaxy could imagine. They cured diseases before they appeared. They bent space and time. They created gateways between galaxies. But perfection bred pride. Nations that had once been allies turned against one another, each seeking absolute power. Their final war threatened not just planets, but reality itself. To stop total extinction, the architects created a living shield, an intelligent cosmic barrier capable of protecting life from the chaos beyond. That shield became known as the Void. It was never built to destroy, the Guardian explained. It was built to preserve hope. When the architects disappeared, younger civilizations awoke to find only the mysterious darkness. They feared it, attacked it, and wrote legends that transformed a guardian into a monster. For 10,000 years, the truth remained buried, until a single human chose curiosity over fear. The guardian turned toward Ethan. "Do you understand now why you were different?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Not because humans are stronger, but because we were willing to listen." The guardian smiled. "Exactly." At that moment, the galactic fleet entered the newly opened region. Warships that had come prepared for battle lowered their weapons. The admirals looked in astonishment at the thriving worlds before them. Ancient vessels returned greetings. Lost explorers stepped onto communication channels after centuries of silence. Families who had mourned loved ones for generations suddenly heard familiar voices. Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted. The greatest mystery in history had finally been solved. But as hope spread, the Guardian's expression became serious. "There is one more truth," it said quietly. "The void was never meant to last forever." The lights surrounding the Guardian began to fade. "I have guarded this place alone for millions of years. My strength is ending." Ethan's heart sank. If the void disappears, the barrier protecting this galaxy from what lies beyond will disappear as well. For the first time since entering the void, Ethan felt a different kind of fear. Not fear of the darkness, fear of what might be waiting beyond it. And somewhere in the distant emptiness, something ancient opened its eyes. Chapter 6. Beyond the Edge of Forever. The Guardian's final words echoed through the endless expanse. "The void is not your prison. It is your shield." A chilling silence followed. Every admiral, scientist, and explorer listening, through the open communications channel realized the same terrifying truth. For 10,000 years, the galaxy had been protected from something even more dangerous than the void itself. Ethan looked beyond the newly revealed stars. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a creature. It was something so enormous that entire moons could have fit inside its shadow. Its surface shifted like liquid metal, covered in symbols that no translation system could understand. The temperature in every cockpit dropped. Veteran soldiers who had never known fear found themselves unable to speak. "What is that?" whispered one admiral. The Guardian answered with a voice filled with ancient sorrow. "The Eclipsed Ones. Long before your civilizations existed, they consumed galaxies, not for territory, not for resources, but to erase every form of intelligent life. The architects could not defeat them. So they built me. The void had never been a weapon. It had been a lock. And now, the lock was breaking. The colossal entity turned toward the gathered fleet. Without moving, it spoke directly into every mind. The prison weakens. The harvest resumes. Several alien warships fired instinctively. Their most powerful weapons vanished before reaching the creature, swallowed as if they had never existed. The Eclipsed One did not even slow. Panic spread through the fleet. Retreat. All ships fall back. Protect the civilian worlds. Ethan stood at the front of the bridge, watching the impossible enemy advance. He knew brute force would fail. It always had. The Guardian looked at him. Human. I protected the galaxy for millions of years. But hope was never meant to rest in one Guardian forever. Its glowing form began dissolving into countless particles of light. My time ends. Yours begins. Streams of radiant energy flowed into Hope's horizon, surrounding Ethan and his ship with a brilliant golden glow. Every system transformed. The engines became silent. The hull shimmered like a living star. The ship was no longer merely human technology. It had inherited the final gift of the architects. Across every communication channel, stunned voices cried out, "The human ship. It's changing." Ethan looked at the growing cosmic storm beyond the broken barrier. He took a slow breath. This isn't humanity's last stand. It's humanity's first. He pushed the controls forward. Alone, the transformed. Hope's horizon flew toward the greatest threat the universe had ever known. Behind him, for the first time in galactic history, every civilization united under a single command. Not as rivals, not as empires, but as one people. And they followed the human into the darkness. Chapter 7. The First Battle Beyond the Universe. The United Fleet crossed the broken edge of the void. For the first time in history, ships from hundreds of civilizations flew as one. Ancient rivalries were forgotten. Flags no longer mattered. Every captain understood the same truth. If they failed here, there would be no worlds left to fight over. At the front of the formation flew Hope's horizon, now transformed by the Guardian's final gift. Its once silver hull shimmered with streams of golden light, leaving behind a trail that looked like a newborn star. Ethan's instruments no longer displayed numbers or coordinates. Instead, they showed something impossible. Courage level, stable. Unity field, growing. He frowned. What kind of technology measures hope? A familiar voice answered, not through the speakers, but within his mind. The oldest technology of all. Though the Guardian had vanished, a fragment of its consciousness remained inside the ship. It is not your weapons that empower this vessel, the voice explained. It is every civilization choosing to stand together. Ahead, the first of the Eclipsed Ones drifted through the fractured barrier. Around it, smaller beings emerged like shadows peeling away from the darkness. Thousands became millions. The galaxy had never faced an army like this. The alien admirals prepared to fire. Ethan interrupted them. Wait. The fleet hesitated. The enormous Eclipsed One spoke again. You resist the inevitable. Ethan opened a galaxy-wide communication channel. We are not here because we think we'll never lose. We are here because every world deserves the chance to choose its own future. The Eclipsed One paused. For the first time in countless ages, it did not advance. The Guardian's voice whispered, "They do not understand sacrifice. They only understand domination." The pause lasted only a heartbeat. Then the Eclipsed Ones attacked. Dark waves swept across space, swallowing stars in silence. Ethan gave the order. All fleets, protect each other. No one fights alone. 1,000 shields overlapped. Human destroyers covered alien carriers. Ancient dreadnoughts defended tiny medical ships. Rescue vessels pulled damaged. Warships to safety without asking what species they belonged to. The battlefield became something the Eclipsed Ones had never seen. Not chaos, but cooperation. Each time one ship saved another, the golden light surrounding Hope's horizon grew brighter. The Guardian's gift was responding. Suddenly, Ethan understood. The ship isn't powered by energy. It's powered by unity. He redirected the growing light toward the fleet. Golden waves spread from ship to ship. Damaged shields restored themselves. Broken engines restarted. Fear gave way to determination. The Eclipsed One slowed. For the first time in millions of years, their advance had been stopped. The colossal leader stared directly at Ethan. Its emotionless voice carried across the stars. Chapter 8. The Heart of Humanity. The battlefield stretched across millions of kilometers, illuminated by flashes of gold and crimson. Where the united fleet stood together, light endured. Where ships became isolated, the darkness of the Eclipsed Ones closed in. Commander Ethan Cross realized the Guardian had left him more than an advanced ship. It had left him a choice. The fragment of the Guardian's consciousness spoke softly. Power alone cannot defeat them. The architects learned that too late. Then what can? Ethan asked. Show them what they have never understood. Before Ethan could reply, the colossal leader of the Eclipsed Ones appeared directly ahead of Hope's horizon. Space twisted around its immense form. It did not raise a weapon. Instead, it projected a vision into Ethan's mind. He saw Earth in flames. The Galactic Council destroyed. Stars fading one by one until only darkness remained. You cannot win, the ancient voice whispered. Every civilization eventually chooses fear over hope. Ethan stood silently. Then he smiled. You've watched civilizations die for millions of years. Yes. But you've never understood why they keep rising again. The Eclipsed One hesitated. Ethan opened every communication channel in the fleet. To everyone listening. I don't know if we'll survive today. I don't know if history will remember our names. But I know this. We came from different worlds. We speak different languages. We believe different things. And yet today, we chose to stand together. That's what makes us stronger than fear. Across the fleet, something extraordinary happened. Captains repeated Ethan's words to their crews. Medical officers shared them with the wounded. Engineers passed them through damaged communication lines. One message. One purpose. One united galaxy. The golden light surrounding. Hope's horizon burst outward like the dawn breaking across the universe. Every allied ship began to glow. The Eclipsed Ones recoiled. For the first time in their endless existence, they felt something unfamiliar. Hope. The colossal leader staggered as the light reached it. What is this? The Guardian's voice echoed one final time. It is the one force no darkness can consume. The united fleet surged forward, not driven by revenge, but by the determination to protect every life behind them. And at the front flew one human, carrying the light of an entire galaxy. The final confrontation had begun. Chapter 9. The Last Light of the Galaxy. The golden wave spread across the battlefield, pushing back the darkness one star at a time. For the first time in millions of years, the Eclipsed Ones retreated. Not because they had been overpowered, but because they had encountered something they could not understand. The colossal leader drifted forward, until it stood only a few kilometers from Hope's horizon, its crimson eyes fixed on Ethan. You fight for beings who are weak. Ethan shook his head. No, I fight for people who choose to protect each other. The creature's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Compassion is a flaw. It makes civilizations vulnerable. Ethan looked through the cockpit toward the united fleet. He saw human pilots shielding alien transports, engineers risking their lives to repair ships that once belonged to their enemies, doctors treating wounded soldiers without asking what world they came from. He smiled. You're wrong. Compassion is why we are still here. The eclipsed leader stretched out a massive hand of living shadow. Then, before the eyes of the entire galaxy, it released a sphere of darkness larger than a planet. The Guardian's voice echoed urgently. That weapon destroyed the architects. Every ship in the fleet prepared for impact. Ethan knew no shield could stop it. No engine could outrun it. There was only one choice. He opened a final transmission. To every captain. Do not follow me. This is my responsibility. Without waiting for permission, Hope's horizon accelerated straight toward the sphere of darkness. Warning alarms screamed across the bridge. Reactor instability. critical. Hull integrity, falling. Mission survival probability, 0%. Ethan smiled anyway. If this is the price, it's worth paying. The fragment of the Guardian spoke gently. You remind me of the architects. Ethan answered. No. They built walls. We build futures. As the ship reached the center of the darkness, the Guardian's remaining power merged completely with Ethan. The light of every allied ship flowed into Hope's horizon. One by one, thousands of civilizations willingly shared their energy. No one was ordered. No one hesitated. The united hope of an entire galaxy became a single beam of brilliant white light. It collided with the sphere of darkness. The universe fell silent. For one endless moment, nothing moved. Then, a blinding explosion of light raced across the stars. The darkness shattered like glass. The colossal leader cried out as cracks of golden light spread across its body. It had never known defeat, but it had never faced a galaxy united by hope. As the light faded, Ethan's ship disappeared from every sensor. The fleet searched desperately. No signal. No wreckage. No trace. Commander Ethan Cross was gone. And every civilization wondered the same question. Had the human who saved the galaxy paid the ultimate price? Chapter 10. The human who returned with hope. Silence settled across the battlefield. The crimson darkness was gone. One by one, the surviving ships lowered their weapons. No one celebrated. Every captain was searching for a single ship. Hope's horizon. Hours passed. Then days. Rescue fleets scanned every corner of the battlefield. Nothing. The Galactic Council declared Commander Ethan Cross missing in action. Veterans saluted his name. Artists painted the final charge of Hope's horizon against the darkness. For the first time in galactic history, there were no borders at the annual council gathering. Human, alien, machine, they all stood together. At the center of the chamber, Chancellor Vila spoke. Commander Ethan Cross reminded us that strength is not measured by the size of an army, but by the courage to protect others. As he finished speaking, every light in the chamber flickered. A familiar blue glow appeared in the center of the room. Gasps echoed through the hall. A small tear in space slowly opened. Out of it drifted a battered ship. Its engines were silent. Its hull was scorched. But the name on its side was still visible. Hope's Horizon. Medical teams rushed aboard. When the hatch opened, Ethan stepped out slowly. His uniform was torn. His hair had turned silver. He looked older than when he had left, as if he had lived decades beyond the edge of the universe. The chamber fell completely silent. Then, one child ran forward and hugged him. The applause that followed seemed to shake the stars. Weeks later, Ethan explained what had happened. The explosion had not destroyed the eclipsed ones. It had shown them another path. For the first time, they had witnessed civilizations choosing unity over conquest. Instead of continuing an endless war, they had retreated into the darkness beyond the universe to rebuild their own future. Peace had been earned, not through annihilation, but through understanding. The Guardian's final gift had never been unlimited power. It had been wisdom. Years passed. Trade flourished. Former enemies explored the galaxy together. The region once feared as the void became a place of learning, where young explorers studied the history of the Guardians and the architects. At its entrance stood a single monument. Not a statue of a warrior. Not a monument to victory. Just a simple inscription. When the galaxy chose fear, one human chose hope. And hope changed the stars forever. Ethan often visited the monument alone. One evening, as he looked into the peaceful sea of stars, he heard the Guardian's voice one last time. You believed that even darkness could change. Ethan smiled. So did you. The voice faded into the wind among the stars. And from that day forward, whenever young cadets asked why humanity held such a respected place in the galaxy, their teachers gave the same answer. Because when everyone else prepared for war, a human chose to listen. The end.